Hi everyone, welcome back to session 4 of this new series, everything about Canadian taxes in F&O. So if you have missed the previous episode, please feel free to check it out through the link in the description box. And in this session, what I'm going to show you is a live demo session of how tax is calculated on purchases. And that's basically with the scenario of GST and HST, but it's actually the same when you are having PST as well. All right, without further ado, I just want to share a high-level overview of what we talked in the previous session, how the default values are created from the sales tax group and assigned on the purchase orders. So you can pause here and just have a quick look at this flow chart. And what I listed is saying we have a purchase order line and how I can know what value is defaulted and where it's defaulted for item sales tax group and sales tax group. So on the above section, that explains the item sales tax group. If that's assigned on the item level, then it's going to be applied as a final rate. If there's no value found on the items, then it's going to be blank on your purchase order line. So user have to manually select to calculate tax. And in the section down below, that's mainly how sales tax group value is defaulted. First thing is going to check if there is a value on the warehouse address. And if we have a sales tax group assigned on that level, they have the top priority one. If not, then we're going to use the sales tax group assigned on the vendor master data. Finally, if there's no data from previous two places, then that field is going to become blank and user have to manually apply. And based on those two final rates, both on item sales tax group and sales tax group, it's going to be applied with the common rate to be calculated on that transaction. So I hope this is helpful with this flow chart. And now let's do a live demo session so I can show you what I meant for that default hierarchy. So let me open up my system. We will continue to use my example with this vendor Home Depot. And currently on the vendor master, you can find we have a sales tax group value GST assigned. So that means if my warehouse doesn't have any sales tax group assigned, then this value will be defaulted. So let me switch screen to the purchase orders, and then I'm going to create a new purchase order, and let me use that vendor account. Okay, so now you can see we have the storage dimensions where you can select the warehouse and site. Basically, based on the value you selected here, the system is going to check if there is a default sales tax group assigned on this warehouse. So in my case, I'm going to use service, and I'm pretty sure there's no sales tax group assigned on the service address. So, okay, now we can continue. And I'm going to pick an item, advertising. Again, let's check now if I give a unit price, 1,000. Okay, from here, we can verify the sales tax values from the below section, line details, enter setup. So you can see this tax section. Item sales tax group, this is assigned with all V2. So we can basically see how this is defaulted. So let me open up a third tab. I'm going to find that release the products. So now what you're seeing is enter product information management, products, and release the products. And I just did a filter on advertising. So on this one, what you can see is for this purchase section, you have a item sales tax group field. And currently the value is all V2. So this is the value that PO Lines is using as default value. And same for the sales order side. So you have another section for sale, and you have basically the possibility to assign item sales tax group on the sales side, right? So you have the flexibility to define both purchasing and sales. Now coming back to my purchase order, we have clarified where this item sales tax group value is coming from. We'll continue with the sales tax group. So this GST clearly is from my vendor master sales tax group value, because on my service warehouse address, I don't have a default sales tax group value assigned. So let's continue with the setting. And GST, as you know, we are expecting to see a 5% tax rate applied with 1,000 as unit price and total price for calculation. So 5% times 1,000. And to check that, you can either check the totals and the purchase totals, and that's going to give you the sales tax calculated. All right, in my case, I'll scroll down. You can see the sales tax is calculated 50, right? And let me do OK. In the other way, you can also check under purchase. I believe you have the sales tax section. That's basically giving you the sales tax code using in this calculation GST with 5% with a total 50, right? So this is very straightforward. That proves our calculation and logic is correct. So now let's say I want to go with another scenario. So now I'm going to assign a sales tax group on my warehouse. So my warehouse is service. I'm going to switch to product and click this service site. No, sorry, I'm clicking site, but actually I need to click on warehouse. And then enter address. I don't have anyone, so I can add a new address. Let's say this new address is in Ontario. So I'll just put an example here, and then state, that's going to be Ontario. All right, it doesn't really matter on the zip code and the city as long as I have the state. So primary, save it. Okay, so now on this address, I can define a default tax group. Under sales tax, I'm going to pick Ontario, so ONHST, and then save it. All right, from there, let's go back on my purchase order. And I won't change anything. I will just remove my PO line and recreate so that the changes on the warehouse level will be in effect. So I will add a line. Enter item, that's going to be advertising. All right. And then unit price still 1,000 and save it. And now if I scroll down, enter setup, you can see item sales tax group doesn't change, but my sales tax group is switched to Ontario HST. Now let's check out the calculation on the sales tax. So I'm going to click sales tax. The code is updated to HST with 13%, and actually with the tax amount calculated to 130. And now from here, if you will continue the process of purchase order, when you post the final invoice, you're going to see on the purchasing side, it's going to point out to the 3145 account. That's your GST income tax credit. That's from the ledger posting setup we defined previously. If you're not familiar with that part, please check out the session number 2, I believe, on the configuration side. All right, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. I think we have covered this GST scenario and HST. Regarding PST, there is some specificity because PST on the purchasing side is not recoverable, meaning that you cannot really apply for tax return going forward. So we need to consider the calculated tax as part of the cost, not posted to the tax account 3142, but it has to be added as part of the cost, right? And then for that PST portion, we can have a separate video. Feel free to comment down below if you want to see that part. It can actually be managed through a charges function on purchase order to include the tax portion as part of the cost instead of being posted to a tax account. So we will cover that in a separate episode. All right, so I hope this is helpful. I'll see you in the next episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe.